It's in the ocean. It's in the rivers. It's buried under our cities. It's floating in the rain. It's inside the fish you had for dinner last night. And right now, there are microscopic pieces of it inside your lungs. It's plastic. And it's not going anywhere. Not in your lifetime, not in your children's lifetime, not for another 500 years. But that's not the scandal. The scandal is that for 4 decades, a handful of corporations have spent billions of dollars convincing you that none of this is their problem, that it's your job to fix it. And the tool they gave you to do it? A blue bin and a beautiful lie.
Many of us try to do the right thing. We dutifully separate plastics from our trash to recycle. But are we really making a difference? The truth is complicated.
If I told you the most successful marketing campaign in history wasn't "just do it," wasn't "think different," wasn't "I'm loving it," you'd probably think I was exaggerating. I'm not. The most successful marketing campaign ever conceived was a tiny triangle stamped on the bottom of a yogurt cup. 3 little arrows chasing each other in a circle. You've seen it 1,000 times. And every single time you saw it, it told you a lie. That symbol does not mean recyclable. It never did. It was designed from the very beginning to make you feel good about buying trash. Today, we're pulling apart a $500 billion deception, the greatest environmental con of the modern era. We're going to trace it from a garbage barge in 1987 through secret industry memos, all the way to a new scam they're running right now. And by the end, you'll never look at your blue bin the same way again. Spring 1987. Reagan's in the White House. Hair is big, shoulder pads are bigger. And in Islip, New York, the local landfill has just hit capacity. 3,000 tons of garbage and nowhere to put it. An entrepreneur named Lowell Harrelson rents a barge called the Mobro 4000, loads it with the town's garbage, and sails for North Carolina to convert it into methane gas. Solid plan. Except when the barge arrived, a news helicopter filmed it from above, and someone spotted a bedpan. Within hours, a rumor spread.
No one we know is particularly fond of taking out the garbage. How about the prospect of not being able to get rid of it at all?
When a barge full of garbage from New York was turned away from its destination in North Carolina, it set off on a 6,000-mile odyssey.
It's become something of a national joke.
The story captivated the nation as the media highlighted a growing garbage crisis.
The barge was carrying infectious medical waste. North Carolina refused to let it dock, so the Mobro sailed south. Louisiana said no. Texas said no. It sailed to Belize, the Bahamas. Rejected everywhere. The Mexican Navy deployed warships to block it. For 5 months, this barge drifted 6,000 miles, rejected by 6 states and 3 countries. America couldn't look away. The Mobro wasn't actually carrying medical waste. It was ordinary household garbage, but it didn't matter. For the first time, Americans were watching their trash on the nightly news. And the question changed overnight, from "where does my garbage go?" to "why are we making so much of it?" That question terrified the plastics industry. By the late 80s, plastic was everywhere, and petrochemical giants were printing money. But the Mobro made waste visible. City councils started proposing bans. Suffolk County banned certain plastic packaging. St. Paul outlawed polystyrene. The dominoes were falling. For Dow, DuPont, and Exxon, this was existential. They needed to make plastic look sustainable. They needed to convince 300 million people there was a solution that didn't require buying less plastic. They needed recycling. Now, before we go further, let me be clear about something. Recycling itself is not a scam. For aluminum, it works beautifully. And aluminum can you throw away today can be melted down and back on a shelf as a brand new can in 60 days. Infinitely. Glass works too. Paper and cardboard, solid. But plastic? Plastic is a nightmare to recycle. There are thousands of different types. You can't melt them together, and every time you recycle it, it degrades. It gets weaker, dirtier, less useful. It's not a circle, it's a downward spiral. The industry knew this. We have internal memos from the 1970s, a full decade before the Mobro, where plastics executives admitted in writing that large-scale plastic recycling was infeasible and that there was serious doubt that it could ever be made viable. They knew. And they did it anyway. In 1988, the Society of the Plastics Industry introduced something called the Resin Identification Code. You know it, it's that little triangle, 3 arrows chasing each other, with a number inside, 1 through 7. Now look at that symbol, really look at it. It's nearly identical to the universal recycling symbol, which was designed by a college student named Gary Anderson in 1970. Americans had been seeing that symbol on paper and aluminum for almost 2 decades. They knew what it meant. The plastics industry took that symbol, that trust, and hijacked it. Here's the key. That triangle on your plastic doesn't mean recyclable. It's a resin code. Number 1, PET. Your water bottles. Yes, that's recyclable. Number 2, HDPE, milk jugs, that works too. But numbers 3 through 7, PVC, LDPE, polypropylene, polystyrene, and the catch-all other category, for the most part, those are garbage. There is virtually no market for them. But it gets worse. The industry didn't just ask companies to print the symbol. They lobbied state legislatures, 39 states in total, to legally require that symbol on all plastic packaging. They used the law to force the appearance of recyclability onto products that were never recyclable.
In 1994, an Exxon executive told the staff of the Plastics Council that when it comes to recycling, we are committed to the activities, but not committed to the result.
Even if you could recycle most plastics, and you can't, the economics wouldn't let you. Plastic is made from fossil fuels, and thanks to the American shale boom, the US is producing more oil and gas than any country in history. There's a massive oversupply of the raw materials for brand new plastic. In dollars, virgin plastic resin costs roughly $800 per ton. Recycled plastic, about $100-200, and it's lower quality, harder to source, and inconsistent. Now put yourself in Coca-Cola's shoes. You need to make 1 billion bottles this quarter. Do you pay $100-200 a ton for cloudy, inconsistent recycled plastic, or $800 a ton for pristine, crystal clear virgin resin straight from ExxonMobil? The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. New plastic is always cheaper. The market actively punishes recycling. And for years, we had a convenient way to hide this. We shipped it to China.
China imports more recyclable goods than any other country. But earlier this year, China stopped accepting a long list of imported plastic and paper waste and implemented much stricter guidelines for what it was willing to take in. That dramatic shift in policy is coming out of a national campaign to reduce the country's carbon footprint. But it's also a signal that China won't settle for being the trash collector for the rest of the world.
For decades, the US and Europe exported millions of tons of plastic waste overseas and counted it as recycled the moment it left port. It didn't matter if it was processed, burned in open fields, or dumped into rivers in rural China. In our statistics, problem solved. Then in 2018, China passed the National Sword Policy banning the import of foreign plastic waste. Overnight, the illusion collapsed. The US plastic recycling rate plummeted to roughly 5%. Out of every 100 items you toss in your blue bin, 5 get recycled. The rest go to a landfill, an incinerator, or a shipping container bound for Southeast Asia. You'd think that after getting caught, the industry might change course. Maybe reduce production. Of course not. They invented a new buzzword, advanced recycling. The pitch is seductive. They claim they can take any plastic, types 1 through 7, break it down at a molecular level, and rebuild it into virgin quality material. A perfect loop, zero waste. Major oil companies have poured billions into this narrative, lobbying over 20 states to classify these plants as manufacturing instead of waste disposal, meaning fewer environmental regulations. But independent investigations by the NRDC and Reuters found something uncomfortable. Most of these facilities use pyrolysis, heating plastic in low oxygen, and they're not turning plastic back into new plastic. They're turning it into fuel, diesel, kerosene. They are melting trash and burning it, and calling it recycling.
The industry just launched a new ad campaign called Recycling is Real,
Recycling is very real.
and says it's investing in what it calls advanced recycling technology. An industry trade group responded to Sunday Morning in a statement calling the Center for Climate Integrity's report flawed and outdated, and says plastic makers are working hard to change the way that plastics are made and recycled.
But because states reclassified these plants, they face less oversight than a standard incinerator. It's the same playbook from 1988, repackaged with better graphics and a venture capital pitch deck. So why does this keep working? Why do we keep falling for it, generation after generation? Because the plastics industry didn't just build a recycling myth, they engineered a psychological feedback loop. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called moral licensing. It works like this. When you do something that feels virtuous, your brain gives you a pass to do something less virtuous afterward. You went to the gym this morning, so you deserve the cheeseburger at lunch. You donated to charity, so you don't feel bad about that impulse purchase. The blue recycling bin is the most powerful moral licensing device ever created. Every time you toss that plastic cup into the blue bin, you get a tiny hit of satisfaction. You did the right thing. You're a good person. You're part of the solution. And that feeling, that microdose of environmental righteousness, removes the one thing that might actually make you buy less plastic: guilt. That's the real product the plastics industry sells. Not recycling, they sell you permission to keep consuming. The blue bin is a guilt-erasing machine, and it works perfectly. And here's the darkest part. When recycling doesn't work, when contamination rates go up, when the system fails, the industry doesn't take responsibility. They blame you. You didn't sort properly. You didn't rinse the container. You put the wrong type in the wrong bin. They created a system designed to fail, and then they made the failure your fault. It's the most elegant blame shift in corporate history. They produce the waste. They profit from the waste. And when the waste piles up, they point the finger at you and say, you should have recycled better. So where does this leave us? Look, I'm not telling you to stop recycling. If it's aluminum, paper, cardboard, or glass, absolutely keep recycling. Those systems work. For plastic, recycle your number 1s and 2s if your local facility accepts them. That still has value. But we need to stop pretending the blue bin is saving the planet. It's not. It never was. The blue bin is a pressure valve that lets the system keep running exactly the way the oil and gas industry wants it to. The real solution was never better recycling. It's less plastic, period. Choose glass or aluminum when you have the option. Buy from bulk bins. Carry a reusable bag. Not because it makes you feel good, but because the alternative is feeding a system that has been lying to you since before you were born. Support legislation that targets producers, not consumers. Extended producer responsibility laws force the companies that make plastic to pay for its disposal. That changes the economics overnight. When Coca-Cola has to pay for every bottle that ends up in a landfill, you'll be amazed how quickly they figure out alternatives. And the next time you pick up a plastic container and see that little triangle on the bottom, those 3 arrows chasing each other in an endless loop, remember what you're actually looking at. It's not a promise. It's not a plan. It's a receipt for a transaction you never agreed to in a system that was designed from the very first memo, from the very first lobbying dollar, to keep you buying, consuming, and throwing away. The plastic trap is deep. It's been built over 40 years by some of the most powerful corporations on Earth, but it only works if you don't know how it works. Now you do. Thank you for watching. If this changed how you think about recycling, share it with someone who still believes the blue bin is the answer. Hit subscribe if you want more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.